Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone to our meeting of May the 20th. I'll call the meeting to order and we'll start with our roll call. Asphodel Norwood, Mayor Wilford.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Burt.
Good morning.
Kevin Monaghan, Mayor Graham.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Huntley. And Duro Dummer, Mayor Watson.
Good morning.
And Deputy Mayor Nelson.
Good morning.
And Havelock Belmont Methuen, Mayor Martin.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Webb.
Here.
And North Fortha online, Mayor Amiot.
Good morning.
And Deputy Mayor Whalen.
Good morning, everybody.
And Tonabee South Monaghan, Mayor Taylor.
Here.
And myself, Deputy Mayor Clark. In Selwyn, we have the Deputy Warden and Mayor Senes.
Present.
And Deputy Mayor Black.
Good morning.
And Trent Lakes, we have Mayor Lambshead
I am present.
and Deputy Mayor Armstrong.
Good morning.
We'll start with our land acknowledgement.
With deep respect, we acknowledge the lands and interconnected waterways that bind us together, the foundation for all life. These lands serve as a keeper of history and stories and are a source of inspiration. In recognizing this, we embrace that all living things possess an important energy and purpose. We extend the utmost gratitude to the original peoples who have been caretakers of these lands and waters of this region from time immemorial, and to this day who continue this commitment. Peterborough County's dedication to reconciliation remains steadfast. In this spirit, we are committed to nurturing meaningful partnerships and connections that contribute to an environment of prosperity and well-being for all generations to come. This acknowledgement is made on the Treaty 20 land and the territory of the Mississauga Anishinaabe, and within the traditional lands of the Mississauga and Chippewa nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaty First Nations. Further, our gratitude is extended to the nations of Alderville, Beausoleil, Curve Lake, Georgina Island, Hiawatha, Rama, and Scugog Island.
We will now have a moment of silent reflection. Thank you. I have a motion to adopt our agenda, please. And moved by Councillor Lambshead, second by Councillor Watson. All in favor? Thank you. Does any councillor have a declaration of pecuniary interest in any agenda item? If so, please declare. And I see none. We have our minutes from May the 6th, but I have a mover for those, please. Moved by Councillor Burt and second by Councillor Martin. All in favor? Thank you. Okay. I'm looking for 7, Carrie, here. I'm moving to consent items. Thank you. So consent items, we do have one item, 8E, which is the 2025 Statement of Development Charges. And that's been pulled by Councillor Taylor. And then I'd like to speak to correspondence myself, item 1. So Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Warden Clark. And I asked this to be pulled, not because I have any concern with the report itself. It's fine. It's for information purposes, but it was a question about what exactly is happening with the whole development charge landscape in the province of Ontario. I know that there's been changes to the Development Charges Act. There's more proposed changes. And I'm not sure if anybody else around this council table is really a bit confused or unclear of what the future holds. So I reached out to Jennifer and I said, Jennifer, I'd like 8E pulled to see if you could provide council with some sort of an update on what's coming in the development charge world. And Jennifer said, absolutely. However, she would prefer if that could be done through a report to be brought to council sometime, I think Jennifer said in June, and I'm okay with that. So that's why I asked to have it pulled. Now, I don't know, Warden Clark, if you or staff would like a motion to have a report brought forward or?
I'd ask Councillor Taylor if you'll hold off on that. I'd like our CAO to speak to that as well after being at Queen's Park. So please go ahead, Chair.
Here's the answer right there.
Thank you, and through you. At a recent meeting that we attended with the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus at Queen's Park, we met with Minister Flack, who advised us that there will be new legislation coming to further change the development charges landscape. And what the province will be looking at is voluntary reductions in DCs between 30 and 70%. And if municipalities were to consider voluntarily reducing them, then they would be eligible for further grant funding for infrastructure. So we're waiting for that legislation to be put forward in the House, but that is forthcoming in the coming months.
Wow, okay, that's a bribe. Okay, well, and so was there, if I can, Warden Clark, was there any discussion about what if municipalities don't voluntarily do that?
Through you, it wasn't described fully, but my understanding was then you would be less able to qualify for grants moving forward.
That's extortion. Yeah, it's extortion. So I guess I don't know what county council would like to do. I guess I would be fine with leaving it and asking staff to bring forward any updates, any changes as they relate to development charges, because this affects the county of Peterborough and lower tiers that have DCs as well. I think the Fed said that they favored some sort of a change to the development charges, and anybody that did that the federal government would make whole. I love that. I don't even know what that means, but that's fine. Thank you.
And to that point, in speaking to that, both as an AMO executive member and also directly to the minister, and they have got the message. This is really putting rural Ontario at a disadvantage because we don't have high development charges where when you're making the larger urban centers whole, they are taking a much bigger piece of the pie. And so they have promised that that will be in consideration because we have always kept ours on the leaner side. So that message is being relayed as well, that when you're not sitting at the top of the pile, 180,000 for a single family unit versus where we're at as well. It seems unfair. Thank you. Yes, Chair.
Through you,
And then
to augment what you had said, Warden, they did say that there would be a rural focused stream as part of the new funding that would be separate and distinct from the urban stream. We would also bring forward a report regardless with respect to any changes that were brought forward by the province.
All right, Councillor Graham.
Through you, Warden. Yeah, I guess my question was just like with regards to the legislation being at the stage that it's at and a lot of feedback and, commentary going on with regards to it. I just wondered about the merit to having a report in June versus as the CEO just mentioned, like we need the legislation before we do a report,
Yes.
in my opinion. Like there's so much speculation in the, and I've read countless articles on the subject, and it seems as though there's going to be a stream for those that do and a stream for those that don't, but there's also going to be specifically identified municipalities where I think you could argue, or to use some language, because you got to pick up some adjective, that they would view their DCs as punitive or egregious, and that there will be special policies for that. As the warden just said, Peterborough County and the municipalities in it really are far away from that world. But I have concerns because we made the decision to hold firm on our DC increase very recently as a council. But are we going to get acknowledgement for that when other municipalities have significantly raised their DCs recently? So if we were raising our DCs and then going 30% becomes a little more attainable. But for those that have held the line in understanding the market conditions that exist, it's going to be doubly punitive to hold the line and then have to go for a further reduction. So it sounds as though one of the things that's being speculated now is these sorts of thresholds for rural and other size municipalities. So I just wonder, I don't expect and I don't believe that legislation is coming back by June. And I just don't think it makes sense to have a pre-discussion before we really need to make some hard decisions about what the implications for the county actually are.
And Councillor Graham, to that point, I think Councillor Taylor is saying report back to us when we have more information.
Yes, I certainly did not request. Word in June.
So just that we're clear. And I think, to your point, Councillor Graham, I think there's going to be the naughty list and the not naughty list. So I think they will be definitely looking at the dates when there has been increases or decreases. All right. Okay, so no other consent items other than through correspondence. And I'd just like to speak to item 1, the motion that the city of Peterborough. It's more a comment. I am disappointed that the city did not reach out to the county in consultation regarding Alto. Especially for the fact that the mayor is a past ag minister, and we understand there's going to be close to 15,000 acres of land impacted. So that is just my thoughts around that regarding Alto and the impact it is going to have on rural communities. All right, can I have a motion to receive certainly all the consent items? Yes, Councillor Taylor and Councillor Armstrong. All in favor? Thank you. And we'll move to our first report. Welcome to Sherry Anderson, General Manager of Corporate Initiatives, and she's going to introduce us to process mapping and its efficiencies. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you to Warden and to Council for the opportunity to present to you today. My name is Sherry Anderson, as we mentioned, the General Manager of Corporate Initiatives here at the county. I'm here to talk about the great work that our process mapping team is doing within our group to support our day-to-day operations, as well as our new innovations that take place here at the county. We have a small but mighty group, Dina and Ella.
Take your picture. There we are.
All right, there we go. We've got a small but mighty team who's focused on our process mapping initiative. So we've got Dina Kemp, who's our Supervisor of Corporate Efficiency, and Ella Fisher-Slack, who's our Corporate Process Analyst. The two of them are focused on this process mapping program that we've put in place and working their way through the county to work with each of our teams. Move to the next slide there, Marissa. So the county has embraced a culture of continuous improvement, prioritizing optimization of existing resources. In support of this commitment, we implemented Prime Business Process Management software to map and analyze our internal processes while achieving the benefits noted here on the slide to improve transparency and more strategic decision-making. Since the implementation, the team has been undertaking a corporate initiative to map all department processes and get better insight to not only what it is that we do, but how we're doing it. Our process management program is administered by the staff with training in process or project management, lean methodology, and BPM methodology. This enables them to effectively plan, document, and analyze our current processes, and as well as make actionable recommendations to contribute to that culture of continuous improvement. Thanks, Marissa. The typical process of mapping a process actually consists of 4 stages. We work through a design, analyze, improve, and implement phases. In that design phase, we looked at a collaborative approach. It's not just observational and looking at what staff is doing. It actively involves the staff doing the work, management team, and the corporate initiatives team. Together, we document the full picture. Who is involved, what work is being done, when the work occurs, and how and why it happens. The goal here is to build a very clear understanding of how the work gets done in practice. Next, in the analysis phase, we begin assigning real value to all of the work being done. We look at time spent, volumes, and financial impacts. It allows us to clearly identify opportunities, whether that's removing barriers, reducing duplication, or improving consistency and standardization. Ultimately, this step of the process helps us prioritize where changes will have the greatest impact in the organization. In the improve phase, we explore what change could possibly look like by redesigning the process. We assess potential impacts in measurable terms on staff, budgets, and service levels. From there, we can develop recommendations that range from small adjustments like moving from a paper-based system to digital, or other transformations like introducing a new system or automating existing workflows. Finally, we have the implementation phase, and this is where the magic happens. This is where we focus on making change successful and sustainable for our teams. We prepare reporting and supports to enable effective changes that include system and role-based trainings for our teams. The goal is to minimize downtime, reduce errors, and prevent frustration. We also ensure clarity by mapping that transition from the current state to future state so everybody understands very clearly where we were and where we're going. On the next slide here, we have a snapshot of what one of our libraries looks like within the organization. So at the highest level, we have a department. Here, the example, we're looking at the purchasing department. And then within each department, we have a library, which groups together their functions or processes that they're responsible for. In each of those individual libraries, for an overarching process, we have the tasks that are happening with dollar value, time, and volumes assigned to them. Each department maintains their own library, works with our team to have them mapped, and then introduces an audit process to make sure that everything's being kept up to date. This helps create structure and visibility in the work that's being done and ensures that we have a complete inventory of work across the organization for projects like business continuity or emergency management. It's also important to note that not all libraries do look like this. Some departments have a smaller number of tasks like this that are repeated more frequently. The volume of these is typically very high, but the variation of their work is not so high. Others have a lot broader libraries where we see quite a few branches coming off of the main department. These ones have higher variation, but lower volume in the turnover and recurrence of the work that they do. Recognizing that difference is key to assess how we can improve the processes within each of our groups. Next, we've got a snapshot of what things look like at the process level. At the process level is where we capture all of those important details. Who's doing the work? Who's responsible for each of the steps? What is the action that's being completed at each of the steps? Where, the system or the location of the file that's being completed? And when, the trigger that prompts that action to happen. Each step is assigned to those attributes, again, time, volume, and dollars invested, to build that more holistic view of the resource investment, not only at our process level, but at a library level and department level as well. We're going to look now at some of the benefits that we've seen through the program that introduces process mapping here at the county. One of the primary benefits is the ability to identify inefficiencies quickly. By involving staff, managers, and the corporate initiatives team, we challenge the status quo and uncover areas where time and effort are not being used optimally. A good example of this is some work that we recently did with the communications and tourism team. After working with them to map their intake and management process for social media requests, they identified that a significant amount of time was being spent on low-value tasks. By redesigning the process, they reduced back and forth emails, clarified timelines and submission requirements, and improved overall efficiency in managing those requests. Process mapping has also allowed us an increase in operational transparency and become a critical support tool for corporate applications, including our asset management and finance systems. This work helps clearly define the roles, responsibilities, and interdependencies across departments, ensuring more effective collaboration and alignment when working within these shared systems. Sorry, where's the next slide? Thanks. Process mapping also plays a key role in our succession planning and training of staff. It helps us capture that tacit knowledge, the experience and expertise held by longstanding staff so that critical information is not lost when people transition out of their roles. It creates a valuable training resource for those incoming to new roles. By visually mapping out the process, new team members can clearly see how work flows from start to finish, who is involved in each of the processes that they need to engage, and access their links to systems, tools, and documents all in one place. For example, some of our more senior staff retirements, it hasn't always been possible to have the knowledge transfer happen in person with some crossover. But by deploying the process mapping team in those instances, we've been able to capture the institutional knowledge in a structured way to ensure that the future staff has the guidance they need to continue the work effectively. Process mapping has also become critical preparing for system implementations. It supports not only our requirements gathering in the initiation and preparation phases of projects, but also helps us work on our communication and engagement strategies for the staff that are impacted by each of the processes that would be changed. Beyond that, it establishes a framework for business continuity and allows us to map new processes as part of our rollout in combination with the vendor. It ensures smoother transitions, more effective training, and the ability to track all of the efficiencies we've gained through change. The county is currently undergoing a project to procure a new ERP system, a corporate application that encompasses HR and finance functions. It's been over 20 years since we've looked at the system that we have, and process mapping has played a key role, in supporting the project's strategic planning, including the development of those communication and engagement plans, gathering functional requirements for the RFP, and documenting the current state so that we can provide them to the vendor for context. Process mapping has also allowed us to bring some visibility across departments. Sorry, Marissa, can you just switch there? Thank you. Helping us identify points of friction and gaps in understanding. The corporate initiatives team has helped provide context that may not have been visible before. Staff recognize the subject matters in their own processes and are given a platform to share their insights. For example, while we were working with our payroll team recently, several inconsistencies were flagged in their workflows, and they were flagged by them. The staff recognized that there was both issues and potential solutions for the problems that they were having. They had not previously pursued any of the changes due to some concerns about whether the time would be available for them to do it or whether the support would be there as well. The process mapping exercise helped them validate those ideas and challenge and clearly demonstrate the value of the improvements they had suggested. As a result, the team felt empowered to make those changes and has since continued to flag additional changes for ongoing improvements, formally shifting the culture in that group from why have we always done it this way, it's just the way it needs to be done, to what else can we do to make it better. From a corporate initiatives perspective, process mapping also provides us with a bird's eye view of the organization. It allows our team to understand better how functions are happening across the organization to better connect teams and provide insights into operations. A great example of collaboration that happened with our lower tier municipality. While we were working with them to map one of their processes, one of the team members had mentioned an ongoing frustration with their time and attendance workflows. They were using the same system as us, and very quickly the process mapping team went, wait a minute, we've seen this before. They were able to go back to the process map that they had developed with the county the week before and provide the township with some guidance on how we were getting those tasks accomplished. With that guidance, the township implemented changes immediately, resolving issues that related to their input redundancy and incompatible systems while reducing their administrative effort and improving the overall user experience for their teams. Here we've just got a quick slideshow or slide for you here that is a snapshot of how we qualify the improvements in the system. So on the left side, you can see our current state, and on the right side is a simulated process when we want to make a change. So we're able to do that side-by-side comparison and understand the value of those changes, not only on the impact of the resource, freeing up some hours, maybe also freeing up some dollar value as well. We're looking at that execution time and actual direct cost to maintain systems, as well as salaries invested by the staff and resources that are required to input these tasks. It helps us demonstrate how eliminating the redundant steps into streamlining our tasks can build capacity and enable our staff to focus on those higher value activities. I think our biggest takeaway from this should be that something as small as what would be a 15-minute task in somebody's day can be cleaned up and actually translate to tens of thousands of dollars in savings for us. So we're currently undertaking an initiative, sorry, so just move there, to work through the entire county and create a baseline for all of the processes to make sure that we have everything that we do documented. So this gives you a little bit of an idea of the groups that we've been working through. Because of the model we've put in place, we've been able to pivot our group around as needed. Again, working with those groups as retirement is announced and making sure we're capturing that knowledge, as well as strategically and more methodically working through each of the departments. The current focus of the team is supporting that ERP replacement project and making sure that we have everything in place to ensure our success there. We're also working on making sure we have knowledge transfers in place as upcoming staff and retirements happen and transitions of staff from one department to another, and optimizing all of the systems that we have and making sure we're making the most of everything that we have in place. Looking ahead, the team is going to continue advancing these corporate-wide initiatives. Our focus is on building a strong foundation that enables us to better assess the impacts of our future changes, support more informed strategic decision-making, and consistently identify opportunities to improve the way that we work. Thank you again for the time and opportunity today to present to you guys on the work that our team is doing. And please let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you for the presentation, Sherry, and open it up for questions. Yes, Councillor Black.
Thank you, Chair Warden. Thanks for the presentation, Sherry. This brings some flashbacks to my past where I led a Fortune 300 company in productivity and as a master black belt. So some of the terminology's changed since I retired. We used to use SIPOC, you're using a 4-part image of it. So really, it's incredible how far you've come already. And I think council will appreciate the work down the road when it comes to budget time and those sorts of things. Government organizations have been a little slow to pick up on productivity improvement. We've made some great gains in public health. Public health now has green belts and yellow belts in it, as well as forecast, where I work as well. So it's great to see how far you've come and that you've actually identified so many projects, which is often the challenge on the front end, is identifying project opportunities. My question really is around tracking the financial and human resource benefits that you've come out of it. I think a lot of folks that aren't accustomed to some of the language and those sorts of things are maybe reluctant to ask questions around it. But what sort of tracking are you going to be doing and presenting to council on the financial impacts of the work, the benefits, the HR reassignment of HR folks into different areas that are more productive? And are you creating any kind of dashboard type of for the departments to see that their work is, their processing is improving, their cycle times are reducing, those sorts of things? Can you tell us a little bit about the reporting side of what you're doing for mostly staff, but also reference back to council?
Certainly. Through you, Warden, to the councillor. Thank you for the question and your comments. I very much appreciate that. To your point, so maybe an example would be a good way to approach that. But when we're tying those attributes to a day-to-day task that somebody's doing, accounts payable is always a great one to reference because we've all got bills to pay. But what we're looking at is something like the accounts payable clerk and how much time it would take them, dollars invested into a certain task. So that might be processing the payments for all vendors, processing payments, processing an EFT payment, processing a check payment would be a couple of different processes within there. What we'd be looking at is each step-by-step process that she's involved in, sending a document out for approval, back and forth kind of to make sure she has everything that she would need to complete backup documentation, all of those pieces, and looking at how much time is invested in that. And then at the end of those, we also look at each task at a more minute level and determine which of those tasks are value versus non-value added task as we work through those. So it helps us optimize and identify those opportunities because we can see where we have those high dollar values associated with very low value tasks that don't contribute very much to the process. So again, those back and forth emails, or reaching out to somebody to follow up for approvals when new systems would automate kind of prompts for something like that would be a great example of something we could take off of somebody's plate through an automation and reduce their inputs and the dollars invested overall in the process itself. We are working on using this system that we've put in place to, as you mentioned, create some training documentation. We do have some dashboards and reporting available for analysis so that we can build those business cases for change in the future. So what we've been doing so far is almost a two-pronged approach within the corporate initiatives team, having the process mapping team capture and document those current processes, analyze where there might be some opportunities and make some recommendations. And then on the project side, we take those, build the business case for them, and then implement and support the team so that they have some additional resources to actually make the changes that are coming out of it.
Sheridan,
Sure.
comment?
Thank you, and through you. Just as an example, and to speak to Councillor Black's question, in 2025 budget, when we were looking at ways we could find savings within the budget, it was looking at identifying multi-year opportunities that are tied to and linked to what this team is working on, and looking at where we can have not necessarily cost reductions, but efficiencies that mitigate cost increases too. And so when we identified that list that we brought to council and then where we had targeted to it, that's an ongoing process that we're still looking at, and we can continue to update that and bring it back as part of each budget moving forward.
Back to Councillor Black. That's why I went to Sheridan thinking she would. Go ahead, please.
No, thank you through your word again. No, I understand. I'm just saying it's great to see the county this far ahead. Again, many smaller governments need to engage, put the resources into to recover the benefit. You've got to invest in your folks to build that culture, and it takes time to build the culture. It doesn't happen overnight. So piece by piece, presenting the outputs of your processes to staff encourages the culture moving forward as well. So I'm not going to say anymore. It's just bringing too many memories back, but some good, some bad. But it's definitely a process that takes investment, and the county's made the investment. And I think it's great that you can present to county council with some of the benefits of what you're doing. Because again, a lot of people don't necessarily understand the cost, but the outputs are definitely beneficial to the organization. Thanks.
I think what, to your point, Councillor Black, what we do all understand is when we see the numbers we've saved. Councillor Armstrong.
Thanks very much for the presentation. Like Councillor Black, I'm a huge fan of process mapping, Six Sigma, leadership through quality, all the iterations that I too have been through. And it continues to get better. That's the great thing. First of all, I wanted to say thank you, because you did come to our municipality and started to look at our building and planning department from a process perspective, which we really needed. And that brings me to my main point, which is what we haven't talked about, is the benefit to our customers. At the end of the day, we all exist to serve our customers. And doing something like this, I'll take the example of building and planning, means that somebody trying to get a permit, the time for them involved in it may be cut in half or more. The number of times they have to look at a document and submit information over and over again would be reduced to once. And so the ultimate, in my view, the ultimate beneficiary of all of this is the person that we serve, and how we cut down the time it takes and the redundancies and the frustration that they experience in dealing with us, who they see as red tape and bureaucracy. So I applaud the initiative. I think that aside from the internal savings, which of course are important because it translates into dollar savings, that it also reinforces our need to be more customer focused in everything we do. Thank you.
All right, I don't see any further questions, so a motion to receive the presentation, Councillor Black and Councillor Webb, all in favor? Thank you. And since you've done such a great job, Sherry, we're going to keep you on for another presentation regarding our finance system replacement.
Thank you, Warden. So council, the report that you have before you today provides an update on the county's finance replacement system. So for context, in late 2024, our software provider issued an unexpected notice that the financial system that we use currently would reach end of life within the next 5 years, later providing an update that support would end officially on December 31st, 2029. This development presents a significant challenge, not only for us here at the county, but also for many of our townships on the same system and hundreds of municipalities across Canada. All of us are now facing the same looming deadline, with varying capacity to procure and implement a replacement system without placing considerable pressure on their budgets. After completing a shared RFI with the county and townships and thorough consultation with other municipalities across Ontario, adopting a common enterprise resource planning system, or ERP platform, emerged as a preferred approach. This option often strikes that balance between standardization and cost efficiency. It offers immediate opportunities for cost savings through shared implementation and training efforts, while also delivering the long-term benefits such as fostering that community of practice we find so important here, strengthening collaboration, and enhancing our collective influence with vendors and future product developments. Staff had initially intended to come forward today seeking approval to proceed with a fully collaborative RFP, including both the county and all of its member townships, to garner the benefits of a shared system. However, the hesitation of some of the townships has prompted us to go back and reevaluate this approach. While we recognize the significant cost savings and long-term benefit that can come from a greater intermunicipal alignment on an ERP platform, staff believes there still remains a meaningful opportunity to realize some of those benefits through a more flexible, collaborative model that involves a smaller subset of our municipalities. Accordingly, the report before you recommends that the county proceed with issuing an RFP for a new ERP system structured in a way that allows the townships to opt in and participate if they choose. It further recommends that any township costs associated with the purchase and implementation be recovered through a special levy applied to the county portion of the township tax bill. The county's portion of the project is included in the approved capital budget, and we believe that will be sufficient to begin our support of this phase of the project, support our purchase and implementation of the project. So thank you, Council, for the opportunity to present this report to you today and your support to date on this project that we have pressing up against us. So happy to take any questions you may have. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Sherry, and opening up for questions. Yes, Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Warden Clark. Thank you, Sherry. And I support, and I'm pleased to see you bring the revised report back. There's no way that I would go to our township staff or finance staff and tell them they should change the finance program. That's an operational decision. It's not a governance decision, and I don't know anything about it anyway. Okay, so if this indeed is in the best interest of our township and perhaps the other ones, you need to convince our township staff of that, not me. Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? And if not, there is a motion and it does give the option for the municipalities to partake. Yes, Sharon. Oh, I'm sorry, Carolyn. Please
Yes,
go.
if I may through you, thank you very much for the report. This did come to our council meeting yesterday and we had quite a healthy debate, and our council voted to partner with the county on this. Our staff have been convinced and they are on board to get this done.
Thank you. Any other comments? Motion, Councillor Whalen. Okay. To proceed with the RFP and seconder. Councillor Taylor, all in favor? Thank you. All right. And we'll turn it over to Carrie. Yeah. And just looking at possibly having some giveaways regarding trees and helping with our tree canopy. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning, County Council. So this report identifies an opportunity to apply for the Green Municipal Fund for tree planting funding for a program where the county could provide free tree giveaways to residents in 2027 and 2028 for them to plant on their own private property. And the application would require resolutions of support from each township where we would potentially hold events and give the trees away. And that resolution would be due by June 30th. That's the date that the funding application is due. So they would prefer the resolutions by them. There is a little bit of leeway though. If that isn't possible, we can work with that. And so the proposed tree giveaway program identified in the report directly supports initiatives within the recently endorsed Sustainability and Climate Change Action Plan. Objectives and benefits of the program include increasing the tree canopy and long-term carbon storage, reducing vulnerability to heat impacts, supporting stormwater management, providing equitable access to trees, supporting climate resilience and biodiversity, and mental health and well-being of residents. The application also will outline the significant tree loss that we've faced in recent years due to storms like the derecho storm in 2022 and the ice storm in 2025, and the opportunity to give back to our residents. The report outlines the logistics on how the giveaway program would work. And the county's financial contribution would be $25,000, which is the minimum municipal contribution to the funding that they'll accept, with Green Municipal Fund potentially matching the amount for a total project budget of $50,000. We've identified we can give away 3,000 native trees with this amount of funding over the 2-year period. And we would hold events in each township that's interested in participating and work with township staff on logistics of that and where the best locations could be. And if the funding application is supported and successful, this will be incorporated into the 2027 and 2028 budgets.
Right. Thank you, Carrie. Opening it up for questions. Yes, Councillor Black.
Thank you, Chair Warden. So I've done the math and it's about $17 a tree. How big are the trees that we're going to be getting?
The trees the trees would be in 2-gallon pots, so they're a couple years old.
Okay.
So they're a good size for planting to be successful.
Okay.
But they're small enough that residents can put them in their vehicles, so it's not like a giant pot or anything like
But
that.
not seedlings or anything like that?
No.
So, okay,
Yeah.
then I think that's a good price then, sure.
Okay, thank you. Any further? Yes, Councillor Mark.
Yeah, so through you, so Havelock Belmont Methuen does this every 2 years. We give away trees and so I don't know, how it would work. It would be up to council if we opt into something like this instead of doing our own thing. But will there be the option there for the individual townships, whether they want to go in on this or not?
Through you, so yes, so we require a resolution of support from each township who's interested in participating in this program. And we'd be happy, to work with township staff if interested on dates, locations, working together on how you want to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Councillor Hunt.
Through you, Chair, thank you. It's a great program. Giving away trees is amazing. The more trees we can get out there, the better. I know within Cavan Monaghan, we kind of modeled a program off of Gerald Gummer, which was to have people come in and buy seedlings. And I guess my question is giving them away mandatory, or should we be charging them like a nominal amount to kind of get somebody vested in the tree that they're picking up? And I know that sounds kind of silly, but with ours, we subsidize our trees quite heavily. So I think we charged $15 this year for them, and they're $20, $25 trees, not the $17 trees. People lined up for them, right? And I don't know, is that having that little bit of skin in the game, is it make a difference, or do we just go with the free trees? The program decides that for you.
Yeah, so we wouldn't be eligible for this funding if we were charging money for the trees. But it's a good point. We will be required to ensure resident buy-in and that they're going to be maintaining the trees over time. So part of the application is making sure they're filling out an online kind of questionnaire to say, like, I have space for this, I'm not going to be planting it in certain locations. And then we have the ability to follow up with them to make sure they're maintaining, or if they have questions, they can contact the county. But again, yeah, there's nothing wrong with charging a little bit, but we wouldn't be able to get the funding if we did that.
So, Carrie, just a question around this. Could you ask for donations? So
I'd have to look into that.
Maybe, that may be an alternative to help Councillor Graham.
Through you, just for clarity on the last comment, Carrie, with regards to, like, I don't understand about the follow-up, the administration portion of it. Is that a requirement for the grant? Because that doesn't, now I'm concerned because I don't, the tree program, and it has its merits in getting the trees to the residents, but the idea that we're following up and creating an administration thing about how these trees are doing and that they can call us for arbor assistance or the health of these seedlings, to me, I'm like, wait a second, we're not really doing that, are we? That seems very.
So we aren't required to follow up, but we're required in the form that the residents fill out to say we can follow up. Yeah, as part of the application.
Maybe we should edit that form. Thank you for that clarity.
Councillor Armstrong.
Thank you very much, Gordon. Thanks, Carrie, for bringing this forward. What kind of financial commitment would you be looking for from the municipalities to participate?
Through you, this would be through the county budget, there's no financial commitment from the municipality.
Like the answer, thank you.
Any further questions? There is a recommendation looking Deputy Warden Senes and Councillor Huntley. All in favor? Thank you. Okay. And notice of motion. Deputy Warden Senes.
For you. The motion before you is self-explanatory. I think it's worth conversation at the township level to talk about opportunities that exist for support or shared services with the county. And by passing this motion, it will give county staff the sense of what the townships require or want for support from the county. And recognizing that there might be some townships that would need more support than others going forward. I think it's a good idea to keep communication lines open and to see if there is an appetite to have more management of the planning process at the county level.
Thank you. And questions? Yes, Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Warden Clark. I got to tell you, not only do I not support the notice of motion, I don't really understand it. And the reason for that is any lower tier can now come to the County Peterborough Planning Department and request assistance. And in fact, if any lower tier wanted to upload planning responsibilities to the County Planning Department on a fee-for-service basis, that arrangement can be made. It's already done with most of our lower tiers with our official plans. And if a township wanted to upload planning application for rezoning, minor variances, the sort of thing that now is the lower tier responsibility, it can be done. The county's been really good at assisting lower tiers in any service that they want help with. And I don't think planning would be any exception. So I don't understand why the notice of motion before us, because that opportunity already exists.
Councillor Graham.
I agree with Councillor Taylor. I really don't understand the motion. There's no department that the county has that doesn't have by necessity more open dialogue with lower tier municipalities than planning. Especially, like I said, out of necessity, and the official plan is a good point. But again, that municipalities can approach the county about this sort of thing at any time if there's such a need. We happen to be a municipality that's constantly seeking more delegated authority. So we're heading in the other direction to find efficiencies. So that's, we're a unique nuance in the system. And we all have challenges at different departments and different municipalities with staffing and succession planning. And I mean, we have a planner that's, very near retirement, has been with the municipality for 30 years and will be tough to replace. But, we're still seeking delegated authority for efficiency and processing what we need to get done in the municipality. And the county is no different with, obviously with significant retirements as well. So I just don't think there's remotely the capacity at the county level to meet all of the needs of a regional planning department. So, but again, the issue with the notice of motion that I take is any municipality that's so interested can approach the county at any time. And to suggest that all of us need to approach the collectively is, I can tell you right now, there's no interest from the municipality of Katamani.
Councillor Mark.
So thank you, through you. So when I first looked at this, I thought about this myself as far as the planning, because we've had planning problems as far as like we have a junior planner, but to get to a planner, we haven't been very successful. And I have talked to other municipalities that have the same issues. It's not that easy to do, where I think this is good for discussion purposes. Whether it happens or not is another story, but to take it back to your councils as an idea, there's no way we're all going to agree on this unanimously, but it does open the discussion up. Is there a better way of doing things? We heard this morning about how things are being done. I know we can bring things to the county and get some help, but this would make it a little more solid as far as say the planners were at the county level and the junior planners were at the township level. Would it make sense? Maybe it doesn't, but I just looked at this motion as a way of talking to our local councils and just seeing if there's any flavor of trying something like this or looking into it farther.
And this would still leave a planner at our municipal offices.
Yeah.
Councillor Amiot.
Yes, thank you. Through you. Yeah, I support this notice of motion. It was something actually I raised at our strategic planning session a couple of years ago, but one of the burning issues. I handed my little post-it to Sheridan and said planning. But I echo what Councillor Martin said with respect to, sort of the struggles with planning and having consultants, having in-house junior planners, and they're there for a bit and then they're gone again. And certainly our township would be interested in looking at this because it, as I said, it has been a bit of a challenge, and I don't see any harm in having this go back to the local councils to see what they think.
Thank you. And I have Councillor Watson, and then I have Councillor Black.
Thank you, Warden. Through you, I don't quite understand why we're having the conversation in this way today. I'm fully aware, our council is fully aware, and our senior staff are certainly aware that, we're always looking for opportunities to collaborate and work with neighboring municipalities. We have a partnership agreement in with Asphodel Norwood for IT services as an example. And, there's always those conversations that are happening that whether it's from department head to department head between municipalities or with the county or within council, to look for ways that we can save and share resources in a way that makes sense for all the partners who are at the table. To have this come forward in this type of structure and this sort of environment seems like it's almost negating the fact that we already are collaborating on so many levels. And it doesn't necessarily need to be, a fulsome lower tier discussion at our individual township tables, because I fundamentally believe we're already doing that, at least within the township of Douro Dummer. So the motion as it sits, it's not something that I would support, because I fundamentally believe that it's happening for those who are looking for those collaboration opportunities.
Councillor Black.
Yeah, through your word, I think everything that's been said is all true. No matter which side of the vote you're on today. We've just had a great presentation on productivity today from Sherry, and so I'm always interested in productivity. Selwyn Township has a great planning department. I don't think the impact on us is as great as some of the maybe smaller municipalities that have harder time getting human resources. But the motion, which would, according to procedural bylaw, be voted on next meeting, it maybe gives us a bit more time to understand what we think the benefit might be of doing that more. I know some of you have been through municipal mergers that don't always save any money. We're going through merger of public health units, and I can tell you the wage harmonization alone for that is over $2 million of costs. So are we looking at this from a productivity improvement, customer service, or are we looking at this from a dollars and cents point of view? Are we going to save any money doing it this way? Councillor Martin's talked about kind of a hybrid with a junior and a senior. So what are we really looking for? If we go back to our municipalities, I'd maybe like to see something a little more detailed as to what the benefits might be, so we can explain it to other members of council. I am supportive of at some point going back to municipal council, but I just don't think there's enough here for municipal council to really dig into and say, let's put a whole lot of work on the county to come up with a plan to come back with us at this point. So I do support the motion at some point today. I'm not sure it's wholesome enough to take back to our councils for a good discussion on what it really means to our council and to our staff, frankly.
Thank you. I have one comment and process mapping come up. Are there some efficiencies here that we can gain around the planning side? We always get our fingers pointed at us that we're holding planning up. And would this address that? So, you know, the process mapping around that, I would find very interesting. Just the service itself and getting that done more efficiently. And if we can, then of course that does save dollars. So anyway, to that point. Councillor Graham.
Yeah, just to add, I think some members of council weren't a part of all the conversations, and I have to be somewhat careful, but there are structural implications and limitations on the county's ability to hire planning staff as well. I can't get into it in more detail than that, I feel like, without breaching certain confidentiality, so I'll leave it there.
All right, we will go down that road. All right, I will just, I guess, do we want a recorded vote? What is the mover and seconder? Looking over.
The notice of motion is on the agenda today to be dealt with.
Yeah,
So you can still call it's the mover's decision. Is this still on today's agenda?
Yes.
Okay.
so therefore voted on today, so.
It was received in time to be on the agenda. It's one that is on the floor that goes to the next meeting.
All right, I'm looking at the mover and seconder recorded vote. Okay. Oh, okay, all right.
Still a comment if I may.
Yes, absolutely.
From my perspective, this was an opportunity to streamline some processes and increase and better our customer service. This is not about changing everything. This is about, let's look at this and see if a municipality has the opportunity to make their processes better. And I think this is a chance to do that. Just from our own personal experience, sometimes an application goes to the county, comes back to the municipality, gets peer reviewed, goes back to the county, goes back to the municipality, gets peer reviewed again, and the peer review gets peer reviewed. It's just an ongoing multi-year process that we think could be streamlined into something a little more efficient. So that was my reason for supporting this. Thank you.
No comments? Yes, Council. Okay, Councillor Black and then Sheridan.
Thank you, Chair Warden. Again, I think I am in favor of anything that looks at productivity improvement. If we could defer this to the next meeting and get some more information as to what the opportunity might be. You have to remember we are making a motion here that's going to affect local staff. I think it's incumbent on us to take the time to make sure that there's a good reason why we're considering it. I feel it's a bit of a rush. There's no rush, I think, to do this today. But I think it would be better if we came back to this council with some of the benefits of reasons why we might do it and bring that back to our council. So again, they understand what they're voting on.
Thank you. Sheridan.
Just through you for more information than speaking to the motion is that we would be, as part of the process, I think we would be happy to work with any of the lower tier municipalities to work on a process map exercise to understand what their current process is, what our process is, and how the two fall together. I think that may be beneficial to understanding, to Councillor Black's point, around where there might be opportunities and where there may not be.
All right. Yes, Deputy Warden Sennis.
So would that be added to the motion then, that we would, as the mover, I would like that added to the motion, that we would do the process mapping to see where the benefits are and the drawbacks. Because I think there, again, we've always done it this way, doesn't jive with me. So I think that there might be other opportunities that we can.
So basically, this is not a motion for every municipality to go down this road. It's to look at it and see if there is efficiencies around cost and service. So I'm going to Councillor Huntley, then Councillor Graham, and then Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Chair. I guess I'm a little bit confused at this point because it seems to be, we've moved from collapsing a department to looking at efficiencies, and from what I understood from what Terry was saying, it's a process problem, which to me says fall back into Sherry's territory. You know, and Sherry, can you come up with something that works for everybody versus looking at it at the perspective of what's written in the motion today? So maybe I'm just a little bit confused, but I'm not sure what of the motion. Are we withdrawing this motion, but you motion in to come back with efficiencies, or where are we at? I'm sorry.
Sheridan. Sorry, I'm with Councillor Huntley on, like, for Councillor Black's comments that, you know, staff come back with a broader notice of motion. It's not staff's notice of motion. We, like, staff didn't put this forward, so we can't expand on the notice of motion. So I cannot remove this notice of motion. It is on here for to be dealt with. But the way it stands and then adding process mapping, it doesn't make sense. And it wouldn't make sense in the minutes or to staff for direction.
Yes. Councillor Grant.
Through you, Warden. Yeah, again, the process mapping, any municipality at any time, as is already occurring, can approach the county about engaging in that process. The notice of motion is not meritorious, has no need to do that. That's exactly the whole point. There's already this dichotomy. If there are efficiencies at any department who wants to pursue them, that avenue is open. Those conversations are already happening. So there's no notice of motion, and the notice of motion asks for it to be on, it imposes it on council's agenda, regardless of what staff's opinions might be, regardless of what those conversations are where they're at. So the capacity with Sherry's department is there. It can be utilized with any municipality who wants to engage in it. But you're not going to have process mapping done by the next meeting to vote on this notice of motion that is not informed based on any planning process whatsoever. It's just an idea to say, have these conversations, which we're already having, and everyone is empowered to do that. So, like, to me, I think today's meeting is an opportune time for the subject to come up, because if you weren't aware at your lower tier about process mapping that's available, you are now. And it can potentially benefit your planning process and find efficiencies. And if that works for you, great. Like I said, what we're pursuing in the municipality is more delegated authority for efficiency purposes, because there's a lot of municipalities going through the county. You have a lot of mouths to feed with those planning processes. And that is in of itself is a barrier to efficiency. So I think these conversations are healthy and they're already happening. And the insinuation that we need a notice motion to make them happen, to me, is just not accurate. So I think the process mapping is a great process, and everyone probably will go through it, but there's limited capacity for everyone to go through it too. So it's good. It's an opportune time to know that that opportunity is available, to look into those processes. If a lower tier wants to, they can do that, and their staff communicate on a monthly basis, if not weekly basis, about those opportunities. So I think because of today's meeting and the understanding of that opportunity, the notice of motion is probably even less necessary, because, like you said, staff haven't looked into this at all. But the process mapping we are all aware of can be done, and those efficiencies might be identified there. But again, like, to me, you can't keep the notice of motion, because it doesn't make sense with the process mapping that would have to be done for those municipalities to find any efficiencies. And that's not going to happen in 2 weeks.
So thank you, Councillor Graham. And to the point, though, the clerk has said the motion is on, so we will have to deal with the motion. The other thing, it is if desired. So this is not pushing municipalities into doing this. It's if desired. This is voluntary. It's not voluntold. So, Councillor Taylor.
Councillor Graham repeated one of my points, is that this opportunity already exists. In fact, it's already done. The notice of motion doesn't expand on that. But I do want to talk about this word we keep hearing, efficiencies, and I know that that's important. And we must look at it every opportunity. However, there are things that are equally or as more important than efficiencies, and that is customer service.
Yeah.
Councillor Armstrong talked about being in the people business, and we are. We're not in the planning business or the road building business or the tax collecting business or the building permit. We're in the people business, and I've been saying that for years. And just to expand on some of the planning responsibilities at the lower tier, we, and I think most of us around here, look after such planning things like rezonings and minor variances. And I can tell you that from a local perspective, that's really important. And I would have a difficult time telling our residents we're no longer at the lower tier going to deal with the rezoning for the property right next door to you, what's permitted. That's going to be done with at the county, and we made that decision for efficiency reasons. There are times when bigger is better, but government's not always one of them. And I think these planning decisions, from my perspective, in our township should remain at the lower level. If there comes a time where the township wants to try to upload that for whatever reason, fair enough. But right now, I'm quite comfortable with the way it's done. Not because we've always done it that way, but because I think it's the right way.
Thank you. Councillor Whalen. Then Councillor.
Thanks very much. I didn't think I was going to have any problem with this one this morning. I thought this would be a slam dunk. It'd be just great. But Sherry, could I make an amendment to the motion to defer this?
We can ask the mover and seconder.
No, you can just make a motion to defer it.
In that case, I would make a motion to defer it, and if I can get a seconder, we vote on it first. I understand.
No, okay, I want to look to the clerk here. Is the motion on the floor?
The motion is on the floor.
So you can make a motion.
It's a mover and seconder would have.
It's an amendment to
The defer is ahead of the motion in the rankings of motions. So Councillor Whalen can make a motion to defer it to the next meeting if he receives a seconder and a majority vote.
Okay, all right, so we have the deferral, moved by Councillor Whalen, second by Councillor Martin. All in favor of the deferral? Sorry, yes.
Through you, Warden, I don't know why we're deferring this. You might as well deal with it now. I think if municipalities, we all work as collaboration. If you have something that you think works better, we try to bring that forward. I don't think it has to be set up in this way. I brought a notice of motion forward a couple months ago, and I hear that next meeting that we're going to find out, is it any cheaper to have us do it ourselves? You talk about the building department. I do not want the county touching our building department at all. I just can't see why we're deferring this.
Okay, well, I will call the vote for deferral. All in favor? This is to defer this, Councillor Whalen, today. So I'm calling that vote. So who would like this to be deferred? Raise your hand, please. Yes, to the next meeting. So.
Only because so many people seem to say, hey, we're rushing this through and so on and so forth. But
so put your hands up if you please. Okay, so that has been defeated. Okay, we will now call the motion then. Okay, who's in favor? Yes, of the motion. And that is lost. All right. Yes, Councillor Martin.
Can I ask a question? Some of the discussion then. So we were talking about a lot of people sound like they're using our planning department for getting advice and things like that. At what point does that, like if some municipalities aren't using that service, does that mean we're all subsidizing our planning department and maybe not using them like we should be? Or is that going to open another can of worms? Because if I live out of here are using the planning services and gaining, we use a consultant. If that's going to save us by going to the county instead of a consultant, maybe we shouldn't be, anyways.
No, good point.
I could respond to that we do a fee for service that is charged back to the township. The need for service level agreements would be that if there were more, you want to make sure that you're providing the appropriate level of service ongoing, but it is fee for service.
Okay, Councillor Black.
Thank you, through the Warden. Yeah, I mean, again, I support anything that looks at productivity at the township level or the county council level. So, my earlier comments around getting more information around potential benefits to our customers, potential financial benefits, I think is still a project that's worth looking at for down the road. We're a little late in the term now, but if you, Chris, Sherry, your department can work with a couple of municipalities to see what the opportunity is first. I think that's a more wholesome output report that we could take back to our individual townships and have some meaningful discussion around, does it make sense for us?
Yes, so.
So we can work on that project down the road.
So what I'm hearing is individual municipalities can reach out and do certainly one-to-one with that, yes.
No, through you, just to clarify, when the notice of motion was added to the agenda, I did send it to the township CAOs. And so we will discuss it at the township CAO to CAO level. And if there's interest, then I will coordinate that with Sherry's department.
All right, thank you. Good discussion. All right, moving to announcements and Sheridan.
Thank you. Just advising council that we're proud to share that our warden Bonnie Clark was recognized with the 2026 Rob Ford Community Leader Award in Hamilton earlier this month. The award was created by the Great Lakes and St. Lawrence Cities Initiative in 2024 in collaboration with Ontario's Agent General in Chicago, Earl Provo, to highlight municipal leadership in promoting environmental protection, economic resilience, and binational cooperation. Warden Clark was recognized for her work with the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus in building relationships with municipalities on both sides of the border. And congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. A couple of announcements. This is Paramedic Services Week. So, of course, the entire week, May 17th through to the 22nd, we're having our recognition award of 88 paramedics for their outstanding service over the past few years. It's an opportunity to acknowledge the dedication, the compassion, and professionalism of our amazing Peterborough County City paramedics. And they provide care, as we all know, 24 hours, 7 days a week, and not always an easy task. So tonight, as I say, that celebration will recognize that commitment, and they make a meaningful, certainly difference in all the lives. When we call 911, we know that service is there. So want to extend out to our chief and to our very valued staff there that they just go beyond, and we do recognize that as a council. So thank you. And also, it will be summer dress starting June. I think we had June, maybe the last few days, but anyway, we're going to move into that dress. Yes, and Caroline.
Yes, thank you. Through you, I just wanted to let everyone know that next Thursday, May 28th, North Corthel will be hosting a teeny tiny summit in Burleigh Falls in collaboration with the county and with Rural Affairs and Roma. So I just want to put a little plug in for that. It's an excellent event focused on, helping out small rural communities. And this year's theme is the power of community, building hope in uncertain times. And I think it's going to be great. And you can't help but attend one of these events and not come away inspired. So hopefully, if anyone's interested, get your tickets because there's only a few left.
Okay, open invitation. Councillor Wett.
Thank you, Warden. This Saturday from 9 to 12, we'll be having our 9th annual.
Something.
Okay, yeah, sorry. Through you, Warden. This Saturday from 9 to 12, we'll be having our 9th annual youth fishing derby in Havelock at Rotary Park. So yesterday, 300 brook trout were put in Rotary Pond. So anybody out there, adults are allowed, but you have to bring a child. So bring the kids down, grandkids, anyone. 9 to 12, as I said, hoping for good weather. The Havelock Volunteer Fire Department will be there as always, cooking up hamburgers and hot dogs and drinks. So anybody passing through Havelock on Saturday, please stop in.
Excellent. Any other announcements? All right, thank you. We are now going to move into a closed session under the authority of the Municipal Act under Section 239 2E. And so can I have a mover? Moved by Councillor Wilford, second by Councillor Nelson. All in favor?